I just want to get really clear on how we're going to know when we've been successful. What's it going to look like? How are you going to be? What's going to be that day when you can say, wow, that was really successful. We achieved this. What are those things that you can tick off and say, this is it?
I tell you what I'm looking forward to is waking up in the morning and feeling well.
Hmm.
If I'm anything, I am tenacious. I wouldn't have gotten as far in my life as I have without being tenacious. I also have an extraordinarily high threshold for pain. And I am a person who is accustomed to pushing through things, working through it, doing it anyway, going ahead no matter how I feel and accomplishing this, which is a great credit in one hand, but on the other hand, I sit back and I'm like, I don't feel well, and I know I can feel better than I feel now.
Right.
Yeah. I know that I will always, by the nature of my life path, the challenges that I chose, some of my greatest gifts have been my injuries because they've in turn made me a very good doctor. I have an empathy with people, a compassion, an ability to connect with them, not by bonding through the wound, but by genuinely understanding. There's one thing to have read in a textbook with what something looks like, but there's not an awful lot that I have not experienced physically, or at least mimicked symptomatically, that someone can appear to with me and I go, I understand. And I can then in my own language describe to them, yes, that feels like ants are crawling up the side of your head, or that someone's stabbing a knife through your heart, but it's not your heart. Or no feeling down your left leg and it's like it's dragging behind you, or you name it, I've had it. And I'm able to share that with people on a level that makes them not feel so scared.
Right.
And while that's a wonderful thing, I think I've now moved into that phase of my life where that part of sharing is over. I've completed the trilogy of my life story through my 3 books, and I'm moving on to a different style of writing, a different type of work. And in closing off that chapter of my life, I'd also like to close off the necessity of using my physical experiences in order to teach. I want to teach from a different space.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is part of the transformation that I'm speaking of. So what does success look like to me? Success is I wake up in the morning and I feel the way that I do at 2:00 a.m. I feel well at nighttime. I feel well at the end of the day. And I'd like to have that same vitality first thing in the morning.
Okay. What else?
Weight-wise, I'm at 140 pounds now. That's 10 stone. For my height, my build, for my age, I don't think it would be too reasonable to go less than 9.5 stone. I don't think that would be healthy for me. I don't think it would look good. So I don't have that much weight to lose, but what I do have is some toning that I need to do, because I'm definitely starting to notice at 43 that the great set of legs that I always had is starting to look a little wobbly.
Okay.
And I need to do some exercise that is, honoring to my physical state and the injuries and the history that I have, but at the same time moving me forward and keeping a level of tone throughout my body that supports where I want to go.
Okay. So maybe go from 140 pounds to 133, so not much, to shed and really just tone up, right?
Yes. Yes.
Great. What else?
kind of, the dietary change is a huge thing for me. I know how to do it. I've done it before. I've done everything. I was vegetarian for 7 years. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I really want a piece of chicken. And I ate the piece of chicken. I wouldn't be a huge meat eater. I tend to listen to what my body says to me on the type of food that I eat. My problem is when I eat, how I eat. I've also come to recognize that because I have 2 small kids, my morning consists of, I look like a sheep herder trying to get them up, get them ready for school, get them out the door. And so I tend to be in a bit of a frenzy. It's not a relaxed, laid back atmosphere. They're both very headstrong and fantastically dramatic in their own right. So every morning is a drama getting these children up and out. So part of my issue with not liking to eat is I don't like eating in that environment, in that atmosphere where I feel under stress.
Sure.
So I'll say to myself, oh, I'll eat later. And then fully well knowing that later is I drop them to school and I go straight into work. And then later becomes lunchtime. So I would be drinking water all morning, which is a good thing. But I haven't done anything before 1 or 2 o'clock to put any sustenance into my body. Right. Even as far as like taking, I would take my omega-3, some supplements, and I can't do those on an empty stomach, so I don't even get them into me until I've had lunch. So the whole system is off, which then in turn makes sense why I tend to be more alive and vivacious at nighttime, because I'm actually starting the cycle so much later in the day.
Yes.
And so my body only starts to benefit from those nutrients going in. That's what I need to change. I need to reprogram, create a new space for myself, if that means getting up earlier. But because I go to bed so late, I tend to wake up later. So it's always a rush. It's a rush. Yeah.
So is that something you'd like to switch around, where you're able to get earlier nights, wake up earlier? Is that what you're saying?
I tell you what I love, Matt, is when I go home to America and the first couple of days of the jet lag, I wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and I feel fantastic, because it's actually 11 o'clock in the morning in Ireland. And so technically my body thinks it has slept in till 11 o'clock, but it's really 6 o'clock there, and I'm wide awake and nobody's up. I have this time to myself. The same sensation that I get at nighttime, only it's the morning, and I'm fresh and my mind's not cluttered.
Yeah.
And I love that space. And so I think I'd like to create that atmosphere for me. I don't live in the same lifestyle that I used to, where I had no children and no responsibilities, and I would go out at night with friends and stay up all night. And what I tend to do now is write books at night instead. But I could do that just as easily in the morning as I could at nighttime. And then I drag and I wake up. And because I'm not a great sleeper anyway, I never have been my entire life, I've broken sleep all night long. So I could get up, say, 3 and 4 times during the night. So not only have I gone to bed late, but I haven't slept consistently.
Do you take any stimulants?
Like caffeine?
Yeah.
Very rarely. I find that, again, tea. I haven't had a cup of coffee in 7 years.
Okay.
Because I realized that the coffee was definitely contributing to the stomach. I know the whole acid alkaline theory, and I'm fairly good. That made a big impression on me, and I'm fairly good at keeping to that. I might have a cup of regular tea if it's going, but I wouldn't ever just seek that out on a daily basis. I can't. Probably the most detrimental time in my recent history was when the petrol station across the road from my office used to serve bagels, and I liked bagels, and I would have a bagel and a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm O positive, because my blood type can't handle wheat, not only was I shoving that cup of tea in, but the heavy bagel on top of it, and my stomach would just die, and I felt wretched.
Yep.
So I discovered that a long time ago, and I don't really, caffeine isn't a big deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I will not lie to you. When I go to the cinema with the children, I love an ice cold Coke.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't choose Coke naturally. First, I would choose Dr. Pepper because I come from the South and that's our drink. I would choose a Dr. Pepper before I would choose a Coke any day. But it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. I carry no guilt when I drink it because it doesn't happen often. It's an actual treat. So I would have that relationship. I wouldn't have that ever on a daily basis. I might have the odd cup of decaf tea, but mostly I drink something called Java tea.
Mm-hmm.
And Java tea is it's a great acidity reducer. It's a detoxifier for the kidneys, the liver, gallbladder.
Mm-hmm.
And now, out of sheer habit, when my stomach was quite bad, I was introduced to this tea and got into the habit of drinking it. And so it's probably, next to water, my drink of choice.
Yeah. So you're going to bed quite late. You're saying at 2 a.m. That's when you're awake.
Switching. Mm-hmm. That's when I'm starting my meditation.
Okay. So
yeah.
What time do you go to bed at every night?
Between 1 and 2.
Okay. And then
but that's getting into the bed. That doesn't mean I'm going to sleep then.
Mm-hmm. I
could still be up at 3, 3:30.
And then you're getting up with your kids in the morning.
Yeah. And when they need to go to the during the night.
Okay. And they've already been sleeping for 5 hours before you go to bed sometimes.
Yes.
Okay. Sleep for healing purposes, for the body, rejuvenating sleep is, of course, important, as you know. So I know that a lot of things that I will say that you already know them, right?
It doesn't mean I don't need to hear them again.
Right. Right. So really, what I want to help you to do is just get clarity. Just get the clarity. Know exactly where you are, which you do, where you want to go, how you want to be, how you want to show up in your life, how you want to feel each and every day, and then just basically taking the steps to get there. And along the way, any blocks that might come up, any disempowering beliefs, any self-sabotage possibly, or even just where your values are as well, as regarding your if it's something that you've neglected for a while, is your physical health. It might be quite far down on your values. You mightn't have valued it as much. So to bring that up and just bring it as something that's now important, that you're now going to put energy into, focus into. Why does that need to happen?
I'll tell you exactly why. Because I am moving into a phase in my life where it is crucial that I am authentic across the board. And I suppose what I'm doing right now, and doing it publicly to really let it set in, is I'm blowing the whistle on myself. People perceive me as vivacious, full of energy, bubbly. Like, if you were to sit and describe me to somebody that you know, would you not go, that girl's got never-ending energy?
Absolutely.
You know, I hear it all the time. I'm plugged into some source. I'm always smiling. I'm always bubbly. I am the best bullshit artist going. I can put on that face quicker than anybody. What I need to do is I want to feel the way that I present myself to people. There's where the incongruency is. I refuse to put that face on. I suppose maybe because my days are full of listening to people complain. That's what I do for a living. People tell me where they've fallen short. They tell me what's wrong with them, to the point where it's unthinkable for me to be that person. I don't want to be the one who complains. I don't want, a good friend of mine says, "Oh, you are human." When I get sick, I don't like to be the one who's talking about the things that aren't working in my life. I don't want to talk about the fact that I don't feel well, which would be the number one greatest issue in my life, that I've grown accustomed, from having been smashed up at an early age in my accident, to not being okay every day. I've had to create a persona that projects who I want to be as opposed to how I feel. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
And I think right now it's wearing me out. It has, all these years later, it's wearing me out. I still want to be that way. I don't want to be the, and I want my children to look back and know, number one, that I'm real. I think if I projected forward 20 years, what would my children remember about me now? They would probably know behind closed doors more than anybody. Mommy was sick a lot. Mommy didn't feel well a lot of the time, but boy, we sure did do an awful lot of stuff. That's probably what they would say. Despite not feeling well, or despite being injured, or despite whatever hardship was going on, we sure had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. But what I want to do is I'd like to try and improve my chances of actually feeling that way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, some great insights there. Thank you. And so to really do this, we need to look at the nutrition side of things, the diet, daily exercise, and then also the rest as well. Getting the adequate rest to allow the body to repair, the body to heal as well. And then, of course, aligning those beliefs, possibly, even though I know you're a master of the mind, there's going to be some disempowering beliefs going to be there, and some maybe thought patterns that might not be serving you. And so as great as we can become, there's always something we can tweak there.
Absolutely. And I think where I felt like I could use my own experience to help other people is, again, because of this person and persona that I portray. People would tend to look at my life and think that not an awful lot bad or wrong or disappointing or difficult happens to me. And it does. It's all about how you choose to handle those things. And I do. And I would have to admit that right now, I've just lost my job. I've just lost my career. I have a house and a mortgage and a car payment and employees to look after, children to feed. And I'm allowing myself to sit in that space of,
because your shoulder has blown.
Exactly. I have the same worries that everybody else does. But what I want to do with you is just grow through a space where people can go, they're not going, well, that's great for you. You don't have to worry about this tax bill or this mortgage or this. I do. It's just because I present a smile, and just because I will talk about things in a positive light, I'm still dealing with those challenges. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I wanted to use this to help people. That, you give me your excuse, I got one bigger. We're all in the same boat. It's all about perception. And if I can help people to recognize, yes, it is scary. You know, I'm not sure how I'm going to make next week's car payment because I haven't worked in 3 weeks. But I got on the phone and called the bank. I didn't sit and cry about it. I've become proactive in all of these things. At least I have one good arm that I can pick up the telephone and call a friend and go, please take my children. I'm not parenting well. I'm in so much pain that I'm shouting at my kids for stupid stuff. And I don't want to traumatize them because I'm not feeling well and I'm incapable of parenting in a way that I find respectful or proactive for my kids. And so my friends now are going, sure, we'll help, because they're so not used to me asking for help that they're stunned and, to be honest, quite delighted to be able to give back in some way. What we have to remember when we're givers is we can be the ones giving and giving and giving all the time. But if we want to be the one who gives all the time, we sometimes end up robbing other people of the opportunity to have that same feeling. And I see that, and I know that it's okay, and I'm calling on people now who are in utter shock, and I'm going, help! I need a hand here. And they're delighted to help, and I think people forget that they have that lifeline available to them. They're either embarrassed, or they're ashamed, or they're feeling guilty, or they're feeling, less than because of a job, or less than because of money. Mm-hmm. And I feel the fear. I feel it, but I'm gonna go a different road. And if I can, by my experience now, possibly take somebody who's going through anything similar and take them down a different road. I've spent the last 20 years dealing with people who are petrified, standing in my office with an injured back or an injured limb, who are afraid they won't be able to work. And now it's me who can't turn around and help them, and I'm not able to work. Mm-hmm. It's quite an interesting perspective. And, I want to use that and make the most of it. So there you go.
Okay, so we just need to make a plan now, because we've got basically, we know where you're at. Shoulder, migraines, indigestion, not waking up feeling good, and just some
penniless. You forgot penniless.
Penniless, right?
But not for long.
Okay. Yeah. And then also the cigarette habit, and so basically you want to be waking up feeling great, tone up, which will just probably maybe drop a few pounds, mm-hmm. And the reason why, and what sounded great was, I want to feel the way I present myself to people. Well, that's what you want to feel, and the reason why is because you want to be authentic, and you're moving into a new episode in your life.
I'm all into vibration, and I genuinely believe that my physical vibratory state does not match my emotional and spiritual vibratory state at this moment. And I feel the incongruency. Mm-hmm. So it is my responsibility alone to do something about that. Now, I can seek help from people like yourself, but I have to take that first step and ask for it.
Right.
So.
Okay. And you also want to be now taking in the high vibrational foods as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So eating, like you said, you've got your juicer ready. So juicing every day, blended smoothies every day, like big salads every day, and then just eating.
I'm ready.
Eating a diet high in fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say it at this point. You need to cut this out, this out, this out, or anything like that. What I believe it's better to do is just start adding in things.
Okay,
How do you feel about that?
great.
Yeah. Okay.
I have great difficulty believing that a broccoli could do me harm. But at my current physical level, in my current physical condition, broccoli is doing me harm. Something is wrong with that picture.
In what way is broccoli doing you harm?
If I eat broccoli, I get horrific indigestion, terrible cramping in my chest. Um, I get stomach cramps that feel like labor pain. Just these waves of, and I've experimented with that. Banana does the same thing. And I love banana. I'm more disappointed in the foods that I've been watching myself eliminate. And I think I was telling you before that I have a lot of food allergies. MSG, processed foods aren't a big deal for me because I can't eat them. And I'm on such a bizarrely limited diet that I tend to make bad choices within the limited choices that I have. And I just want to broaden my perspective. So I even found out yesterday there's a fruit and veg shop up the road from my office, and they'll give me what they call a variety box. And I can do this by going in and going, here's €30, fill this box up, and they fill up with whatever they've got that's in season and that's fresh on display. €30 worth of fruit, or however many, €50, €20. You can tell them what you want to spend, and they send you home with this gigantic box. I can do this. I hate going to the grocery store. The idea of sticking that box of fruit and veg in my car and going home with it, that's great. That works for me. I'm just not doing it for some reason.
Okay. What's the reason?
That's just it. I'm not quite sure.
I understand that consciously you're not quite sure, but if your unconscious mind could just speak for you right now, what would it say?
I would say there is an element of, okay, this is probably going to sound a little twisted, and I'll use this example. In my office, my secretary, Maureen, has a great laugh at me because I will put lots of little envelopes in a drawer. And the way that I pay off bills is each day I put X amount in each little envelope, no matter what, regardless. I could be left with nothing as long as each of those little envelopes got paid on that day. And that's how I am good and consistent with paying off my bills. She has a laugh because she thinks I actually get a kick out of this. And she's right. There is some part of me that loves the challenge of where am I going to come up with the next bit of money? Where am I going to come up? I love the idea of going, I did it at the end of this. And I think probably on a global scale in my own body, in my own life, my persona, there is some element of me that enjoys the idea that I am handicapping myself in some way because I'm going to come out at the end going, I did it. It's the same idea as presenting this persona, yet behind the scenes, I'm running on fumes.
Okay. And
so that's what my unconscious mind would say to that.
Okay, great. And what would it take to change that thought pattern?
Another thought.
Okay. And what would you choose to think instead?
Well, part of it for me is what I'm doing now. Part of the method to my madness of discussing this idea of doing this publicly is that now I've said it. Now it's out there. Now people who know me know. It's like my life becoming a walking vision board. Vision boards work for me. I have them, my children use them, because we're not just going, I want to have a car, or I want to have my book published this year. It's the idea that it's sitting there in front of me and I focus on it every single day. By doing that, it puts in motion the actions that are going to allow these things to manifest. They're not going to fall out of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
By putting my life out publicly, by saying to people now, guess what, guys? I smoke 2 cigarettes at night. Guess what? I look all cheery and bubbly, but I'm actually ready to faint standing here in front of you. By saying that out loud now, I'm making a virtual vision board of my life and creating a focal point on having to make the change. Mm-hmm. There's no more hiding behind no one else knows. It now goes out to a public that I intimately interact with, who will make it a focal point for me so that I have to make the changes.
Okay.
This was the method, I think, to my madness.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.